Welcome to this webinar where we are going to show you and explain to you how NextGEOSS can help you in the geoscience communities. We have a long program today. It is continuation or a deepening of the presentation we were supposed to give at the European Geosciences Union in Vienna. Then we had a very short version of it online, as you may know. And now we are using the opportunity to have a webinar where we actually go much deeper into the presentation that we wanted to give at EGU. And it also allows us to interact with you. And that's what we are going to start with, actually, before we go ahead with the program. My name is Bente Liljaby. I'm going to be your host today. And we will start, as normally I do with my webinars, we do a weather reporting. And the weather report is, I'm asking the presenters, as you see, and we have a nice panel of presenters here. You will learn more about them eventually, but first you will learn how the weather is like where they are. And then we also would like to hear from you in the chat, where you're from and what the weather is like, and then we start on the program. So we do this very quickly. Marie-Francoise, where are you and what's the weather like?
So I am in Toulouse, south of France, and the weather is really wonderful today. Beginning of spring, perfect.
Perfect weather in Toulouse?
Yes, between spring and summer, perfect.
Excellent. Elnaz, how about you?
I'm Elnaz. I'm in Enschede, the Netherlands, close to German border. The weather is nice too. You can smell spring, but a little bit cloudy.
Nice, all the same. And in the next one is Alaitz. Where are you and what's the weather like? Unmute.
Hello everyone, I'm in Barcelona or close to Barcelona, and the weather is really sunny today and even a bit hot, so perfect timing, perfect weather.
Perfect weather, sounds lovely. Georgiana.
Hello, I'm in Berlin and the weather is very, very beautiful today.
Nice. Koushik.
Hello everyone, I'm Koushik. I'm based out in Lisbon, Portugal. The weather is lovely today. I mean, is a day that you like to be in the beach, but unfortunately we cannot go now. So I'm looking forward to the weekend where we can actually visit the beaches. Yeah.
Sounds great. And where am I? I'm actually up in the Arctic in Norway, in a town called Bodø, and even we have very nice weather now. Finally, after the longest period since. And this winter and spring without sunshine in this place in Norway. So it's a lovely day around Europe, we can tell from this short report. And Leah is, hello everyone. Thank you for giving us a weather report. Ioannis from Greece, hi. We have Tarragona province in Spain and Delft in Amsterdam. Yes, Madrid, 27 degrees. We got very precise weather report there. So welcome all of you. We will start with the program. We are aiming to do the presentations within an hour, depending on how actively you are asking questions. You can obviously ask questions in the chat. Thank you. You are warming up to that chat. And we will answer some of the questions if they are very, clarifying questions in between the presentations. But at the end, we can go deeper and discuss more deeply with you the different types of questions. And we also very much welcome your comments. I will also post some of the polls, very short polls during the presentations. They will not be demanding because we want you to listen and learn, but it will be great to learn from a little bit more where you're from, where you come from in terms of your background and your interest in geosciences and Earth observations. So the program, we will start with a short introduction to NextGEOSS and our services, and that's Koushik who will do that, and I will give the floor to the presenter so you will learn more about them. Then Georgiana will introduce you to one of the part of our services, namely the OpenSearch API. Another service that we will introduce today is the user feedback mechanism by Alaitz. And we also have somebody here with us who have used our services, namely Elnaz, and representing the biodiversity community. And finally, but not the least, you will learn how you can also use this, the resources that we have, because we have developed a 5-step user experience and an onboarding process. And Marie-Francoise will tell you about that. And finally, we will reveal how you can join our community, because this community is thriving and we are hoping and wanting to grow it. So that's the program for today. And now, very quickly, you will learn a little bit about the speakers before we start. So we will start with you, Koushik, because you will start the show. Mute.
Yep, sure. So I will now share my screen.
No, not yet. We will do the tour de table first. So we will introduce all the speakers, and then we will give you the floor.
All right, so it's me again. My name is Koushik. So I'm working at DEIMOS Engineering. We are a company based in Spain, Portugal, UK, and also Romania. My role in this company is I'm a business and technology innovation expert. In the scope of NextGEOSS, I'm part of the project coordination team, and I'm also leading the work package 7, which is related to the business pilots, and also working very closely with all the participants here. I think we are working for more than 3 years now, at least in my knowledge. And yeah, so I'm going to do today is to introduce you to the project, the services that we have. So I hope we can generate some interest from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Koushik. Looking forward to your presentations. But before that, Georgiana, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Georgiana Bere. I'm a developer at Datopian. And Datopian is covering the technical side of the project, building the data hub. So that's why today I'm going to introduce you to the OpenSearch API of the Data Hub.
Exciting. And Alaitz.
My name is Alaitz, and I work at the Autonomous University of Barcelona, or UAB, and I'm specifically in the geography department. So my background is related to Earth observation systems and also to GIS. And our role in the project is developing and implementing the user feedback mechanism. So we are providing you to this service that I hope you are willing to use after our presentation today. Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful. And Elnaz.
Thank you. My name is Elnaz Neinavaz. I'm working at the ITC Faculty of Geoinformation Science and Data Observation of the University of UTwente. In the scope of NextGeo, I'm mostly involved in biodiversity pilots, which aims to create and generate remote sensing essential biodiversity variable, and also populating remote sensing EBVs to NextGeo data catalog. So yeah, I'm involved in this project from the beginning, and I see the outcome is coming out.
Yeah, very exciting to have you here and one of the user communities represented.
Thank you.
Marie-Francoise, you did the opposite. You are muted.
So I work with the Open Geospatial Consortium, and our vision is to use location to connect people, communities, technologies, and decision-making for the greater good. And for that, we work to make location information more fair, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, developing standards. In NextGEOSS, I'm in charge of the engagement work package and of some other tasks about smart cities and citizen science.
Great to have you here as well, and helping other users well, the existing users and also the future users of the NextGEOSS platform, data hub and platform. So very quickly about me. So I'm working in a small company called BLB from Norway. We work on making Earth observations accessible and used to improve decision-making based on facts. In NextGEOSS, I have been responsible for dissemination and communication, but also involved in one of the pilots, the cold region pilots. So, and for the continuation of NextGEOSS, as you have understood from the presentations of the people here, NextGEOSS is a Horizon 2020 project with a start and an end. I'm very much involved in making sure that the results of this project is continuing, and I'm doing that particularly in the geo community, where I have been involved for 15 years or so, since the very beginning. So that's the presenters, that's us here. It will be interesting to hear a little bit about you, what kind of community you represent, if it's ICT, if it's one of the geosciences, if it's data management. Let us know what you are, you know, very shortly what your perspective will be here. But now, okay, Koushik, let's hear what NextGEOSS is.
Absolutely.
And we will turn off our cameras and return to you afterwards. But while we are presenting, we will turn off cameras and microphones. Right. Yeah, and you do that. Yeah.
Yes. Right. So thank you, everyone. I will try to explain you what is NextGEOSS and also its genesis and its objective. So NextGEOSS is a contribution to Geo, and our goal of NextGEOSS is to support the global priorities set by Geo, which are the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Paris Climate Agreement, and the Sendai Framework. And this is a H2020 project, as mentioned by Bente, and it's we are at the last leg of the project, and we are in a phase we are consolidating our results and also paving the way for its continuation of beyond the project life cycle. As a partner, it's a consortium composed of 27 partners. It's a big a family, I would say, and it's been going on for more than 3 years now. And so as you can see, these are the list of partners who are involved in this project. On a high level, the NextGEOSS has 3 main pillars. So we have a NextGEOSS data hub, a set of NextGEOSS platform services, and pilot applications. And I will briefly talk about how it works. So the idea is that we within NextGEOSS we have developed platform services that can be used by your application developers and working in different thematic areas, defining field of work, for example, biodiversity, agriculture, marine, and use these services to bring their application to cloud to the next level of operations by using as well the data hub. So what are these platform services that are you talking about? So as you can see here, we have now consolidated 8 list of platform services here, and is provided by several of our partners. And we are constantly evolving. So we are in the process of integrating one more service, which is the data linker service, which is will be provided by NOAA. Briefly, in terms of storytelling, so what are these services? What's its purpose for you to understand? So if you are a data provider, if you are, for example, producing data in your field of work, and you are looking way to make it available for a larger community and to make it accessible for other researchers, you want to forward your data, and you want to be recognized as a data provider. So we have this platform service called data cataloging, where we take care of the cataloging process and we make it available in our data hub. Also, if you have a service and you want to make it reachable, and so that entire community of Earth observation or even beyond Earth observation wants to know about your service, we also have a mechanism, a service where we can catalog your service. Now, apart from that, we also target users like an application developer or users who are looking to bring their processing to cloud. So we have a bunch of services provided to you. For example, data discovery, user feedback, cloud integration, cloud bursting, user management, and operations analytics and dashboards. So what does it mean? So it means that we give you these tools in a la carte manner. So you can choose which services you prefer. And then you can bring, for example, if you have an algorithm, you want to move that algorithm and process in a cloud, we have a cloud integration service. If you have an algorithm, or if you're working on an algorithm, but you are finding ways, how can I access my data in a standardized interface? So we have a data discovery service, and that will be explained later by Georgiana using OpenSearch API, which is a OGC compliant interface that we are using. And then, for example, if you have an application but you want to bring a set of users for your applications with a well-defined access policy controls, and that's where we have a user management service. And the similar way, once you have deployed your application in a cloud and you want to monitor how it performs, what kind of if I have a set of KPIs for me, how can I measure in a dashboard? So that's where the operational dashboards and analytics service comes into play. And along with that, maybe you decide as an application developer owner that well, I want to port my application from one cloud to another to see maybe based on certain criteria, based on certain policies that's provided by different cloud providers. So we do have a service called cloud bursting, where you can move this service seamlessly with quite easily with less effort from your side. And that's the service we provide from NextGEOSS, and then you can move to different clouds. So that's the story. So in a summary, what we are aiming to achieve is that we want to make the life or your work easier for you to taking care of all these the components that you need to make your application moving to cloud and make it operational, so that you can actually focus more on the innovation aspect of your algorithm. So that's the objective of these kind of services that we have. Now, during our project, so we didn't develop this technology or this platform services in isolation. We had our support from our pilot application. So as you can see, there is a broad range of applications that we have been working on, and we have been co-designing, or maybe we can say these pilot applications are our first users, and who has been using our services for their activities. And we have several stories around it. Maybe I think we have plenty of other webinars and success stories that we can share with you. So these pilot applications have helped to evolve our services and help and to reach a maturity now we have. And it was not an easy task, of course, and we have to learn in a continuous way. We have to work in an agile way to understand what's their needs and try to cater to those needs. And that's how we have been working in this project. Now, who are our target users? As you have understood from my previous slide, is that if you are a data provider, if you are a well-recognized data provider, and also if you are someone or a project or an institution that you are producing data, but you are now looking, how can I share this data to the community and also get recognized as a data provider? So then if your answer to these questions are yes, so that's NextGEOSS for you. At the same time, if you are an application developer and looking for a solution where you can move your processing to a cloud, yes, so that's where NextGEOSS can give you support, and that's where we have the services ready for you. So how in terms of offering, so we have consolidated all our services into 3 high-level offerings, as you can see here, and these are integrating your pilot, link your data, and showcase your application. So what does it mean? It means that if you have an idea of an algorithm, or if you have maybe an in-house processing, and you are looking, for example, to integrate user management. How can I have a enforce access control policies? How can I have a single sign-on feature implemented? Or how can I move from Cloud X, for example, you want to move your application to a DS, for example. That's where is the integrate your palette. This offering comes into picture. So what we will do, and that will be explained by Marie-Francoise later, we have a well-defined steps that we follow, where we understand your requirement, we provide you feedback, and then we implement or we offer you the services. Some of the services are offered as a self-service. It's for you to follow guidelines to do that, and we always have a support team ready to assist you in your journey. And about link your data, that exactly corresponds to what I mentioned about cataloging your data. If you have a data that you want to catalog in NextGEOSS, and that's the service that we offer, and showcase your application is about services. If you have a services, you want to catalog the services itself. So that's the service that we provide from NextGEOSS. Briefly, I will talk about, because I think we are in the context of data, and it's one of the core components of the NextGEOSS project. So if you want to avail this service of data cataloging, what do you expect? So what will be the outcome that you will see? So first of all, you will be recognized as a data provider in our portal. You can visit our portal. You can see the link there. And also the data that you will be cataloging to us would be available as a data collection page, so among all other data providers that we have here. And more importantly, becomes accessible in a user interface, which is where the users or end users can look for your data easily. And also, I didn't deal with that much here, which is about the OpenSearch API. So once you catalog your data, it becomes available via OpenSearch API. So it means that your data becomes accessible programmatically to a set of application developers. And that's where the value of your data becomes higher, because it becomes much more usable. And so in a platform, we connect data providers with data consumers, in a way. And the question you might be asking, so what else do we get as a if we catalog my data into this NextGEOSS Data Hub? So we make sure that we have a quality of service and also inbuilt data curation mechanism, which ensures that your user of your data always get a high availability of data resources. We ensure that the links and accessibilities are ensured, so that your user always gets the latest data and also the active links. So that's about the Data Hub. And apart from that, I would go a little bit beyond what we also have done, and I think it might be interesting for you if you want to catalog your data. For example, once your data is available in NextGEOSS, automatically it becomes as well available in Google, and also interestingly Google Dataset Search. So it means that your reach it's much higher, and it's a worldwide, and it's accessible from various access points like Google. I think that's a quite interesting one. And also we have been working recently with the GEOS portal. So it means that any user looking at the GEOS portal can also discover the data that's also hosted or not cataloged in NextGEOSS. It means that the same way, if your data is cataloged in NextGEOSS, it becomes as well available to the entire GEOS community. So these are the aspects that you will experience as a data provider if you are availing this particular service of data cataloging. So I dealt particularly about the data cataloging, but we have also, again, if you're interested, we can talk about the other services, what kind of values that it creates for you. But if you want to know right now any particular information, you can visit our website, and we have a description of service offering, what we do and what we can expect, and also get in touch with us if you have any further questions. So with that, I will conclude. So yes, so that's the way you can. We have a service desk where you can raise a request for link your data, and our team will then get in touch with you, and we have a few iterations, and then we can catalog. So with that, I will conclude my slides. I think so if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Koushik. And you were mentioning that you can have a global reach with cataloging data on the NextGEOSS catalog. And indeed, if you look at the attendees here, we have people from Europe, from Africa, Ethiopia, I saw Ethiopia there, and also from India, so from the Asian continent. So definitely we are, even though we are a European project, we are operating in a global world. Yeah. So thank you. We will dive into a couple of those services that you presented, the overview that you presented. If you have questions to Koushik now, you can ask very quickly so we can answer right now, or if you need some more time to think, you can still ask the questions, but then we will answer it afterwards. I have one question already from Dereyi. Is very sorry for the pronunciation of your name there. It's very practical, and that's about the presentations. And yes, you will get access to all the presentations. They will be made available in the PDF form and posted on our nextgeoss.eu page. So, and you will of course get the recording directly in the inbox. As you have registered here, you will get the recording directly a little bit later today. So I don't see any more questions right now, so I think we just go ahead and learn about the OpenSearch API from Datopian. Georgiana, are you ready?
Yes, yes. Hello. Okay. So today I will present you the OpenSearch API for Earth observation that we integrated in the Data Hub service. To give you an introduction, OpenSearch is a collection of technologies that allow websites and search engines to publish geospatial search results in a standard and accessible format. Since OpenSearch is so important to the Earth observation community, the Open Geospatial Consortium published the OpenSearch Geo and Time Extension standard to provide a very simple way to make spatial and temporal queries to a repository of geospatial content. The NextGEOSS Data Hub is based on CCAN, which is a fully featured, mature, and open source data management solution. And it's important to point out the CCAN architecture is especially designed to enable and encourage the creation and use of plugins to extend the platform's functionality and features. And all the plugins are freely available and OpenSearch and can themselves be modified and extended. So since CCAN doesn't provide an OpenSearch API endpoint by default, in NextGEOSS we have developed an extension that provides the OpenSearch capabilities to users. The OpenSearch API allows the users to search and filter through all the data sets in our catalog through a unified interface. You can read more about that and have the documentation of the API at this link. Therefore, the OpenSearch API in CCAN facilitates the access to a variety of open and geospatial data, making it easier for different communities to discover and interact with this data. All the extensions that have been implemented for the NextGEOSS Data Hub were also validated using the NASA validation tool to be fully compatible with the OGC standard. We wanted to do that because having the correct implementation of the OpenSearch standard allows us to easily integrate with other systems. If you're not familiar with OpenSearch but you need an OpenSearch response, you can visit the Data Hub and create your query from the user interface. Through the Data Hub search page, you can there's a button that allows you to translate all your filtering and searching on the UI into an OpenSearch API query. So our interface provides even those that are not familiar with Earth observation data a way to easily create queries and access its results. We are also constantly adding more data connectors to our portal and new collections that become available for search through the NextGEOSS OpenSearch API. So this will allow us to provide a variety of data for the users and accommodate their needs. If you want to stay up to date with all the developments in the project and to follow as we add more data, you're welcome to subscribe to the emailing list. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Georgiana. Let me see. Do we have any questions for Georgiana? I just posted a poll to learn if you've heard about OpenSearch API before. It's a powerful tool to get hold of data to find and get hold of data for your applications. So I have a question from Adrian Luna. Can any geospatial data set be ingested and made accessible in the community through the Data Hub?
Technically, yes.
Technically, yes. Short and concise. There you go, Adrian. Thomas, do you have a documentation link for the API?
Yes, it was also included in the presentation, and it will be shared along with the other presentations. But I will also share it here in the chat.
Yes, yes, please do share the links in the chat. And yes, absolutely. So thank you, Thomas and Adrian. If you have other questions that come to mind as we get along and go along in the webinar, don't be shy, ask them here in the chat, and we will discuss at the end. Now, we have yet another service, the user feedback mechanism. Alaitz, are you ready to share?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
So we will disappear as usual. I will turn off our cameras and microphones and leave the floor to Alaitz.
So thank you very much, Bente. And here I am going to talk about the user feedback mechanism, and especially want to highlight how this can help us to power up our knowledge about what can the data be used for in geosciences. First of all, we can start about thinking what the user feedback is or what user feedback contains in a general point of view. And I bet that most of you have used this Amazon system sometimes to check if the product you want to sell is fine. So you can see there some ratings, some comments, short or long descriptions, and even you can find or you can create feedback about the feedback saying this comment is useful or this comment is not useful at all. All the information has in common that it comes from the user. So it's really important because it grabs the information, the user vision about a certain product that itself, for example, there, and about the general resource in other contexts. And this information created by the users is complementary to the official information, and in this case, for the official description of the product or the official metadata, for example, created by the producer if we are talking about geospatial resources. So let's move to this geospatial context where we are. And in this case, the important information in user feedback to be geospatial is, of course, that it has a spatial component. So maybe because it talks about a spatial subset of a certain resource, or because it talks about the general resource, but this is a geospatial resource. Imagine, for example, someone looking at certain imagery in a data portal, and then he realized that there's a volcano smoke in one area. This prevents this area to be used in an automatic snow detection system because it will not work. And this is why this person can describe this problem and upload this information in the user feedback system. Not only that, but we can think of more elaborated situations where the usage descriptions can allow us to create sort of knowledge, or to get us close to the knowledge, because we can use this information to acquire how the users have been using the data. In this case, this is a web map browser from another project called Ecopotential, and here some imagery is being available to the users, and the users have some analytical capacities, and for example, they can create new layers here in the red squares, or they can create spatial filters, and they can, for example, ask for knowing the information or studying only NDVI inside a certain protected area or for just certain category. This information is creating new knowledge about how this imagery can be used. So this is another information that can power apps as how we can use this geoscience information. And a final but not least important, in this case, Elnaz, we will be talking about that in a while, but here in the biodiversity monitoring and mapping community portal in the NextGEOSS system, you as a user is able to create new modeling to predict the habitat's distribution. And so you decide which are the predictors you are going to use, and then you create this modeling using certain software. This information about how each user tries to model the habitat distribution, it's also another important information about how this habitat information can be used, and then it's meaningful and can be, or is interesting to be captured using user feedback system. To understand how this is done, I am not going to explain in detail all the user feedback elements that we have in the standard. This is an OGC standard, but at least I want to talk about a couple of them because they are the ones that were highlighted in the examples before. On one side, we have a usage report, and this is it's very important for capturing how the users work and play and get results from the data. So here is where someone could store the information about how to spatial filter the data, or how to create a certain model for a habitat. Or we have also a second element called significant events, where, for example, the idea or the problem with the volcano smoke could be stored as well. And how, in fact, this is, or how you are able to use all of that information. Thanks to NextGEOSS project and related to the NextGEOSS Data Hub, we have developed this Nimbus solution that is a modular solution. And the idea is that you can connect this Nimbus system to any data portal that you have, for example, in the NextGEOSS Data Hub. And then you can using a unique identifier for each resource, you can connect to the Nimbus system and get to a form to introduce all the information about the resource you are commenting. So you can create, as a user, any report about any of the resources that are available in the Data Hub. Not only that, because if the system is properly connected, some of this information will be automatically updated for you. For example, from the previous web map browser, where the user can create a new vegetation index, this information about like the internal code on how to create this index will be automatically included in the user feedback for you. And then you will only to describe like a few sentences about what you have done this index or why it's useful or something similar. Another important part is that all this feedback coming from several portals are stored in a single and unique storing system and server. And this is why it gets it creates a huge knowledge base that can be easily retrieved by anyone else. We have a widget that also can be connected from any portal to retrieve all the previous user feedback items about a certain resource. So if you are in a certain portal looking for a data set, you will get not only the official information about this data set, as I said before, not only the official metadata, but also a summary and detailed information on what other users have done with this resource and how you can use it, or which publications have been created with the same resource. And then, of course, this is the idea of powering up the community in the sense that this community information and knowledge is created and then it's shared and helps the community and the usage of the resources increase. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Alaitz. Any question for Alaitz? Please ask now. I have a question, Alaitz, because it seems that this user feedback mechanism really can enrich the information about the particular data set. When is it only when it's used through the NextGEOSS data hub, or will the Nimbus system also allow us to say get information about the user feedback of a Sentinel data set used through access through different data hubs?
It allows the Nimbus system allows to store user feedback coming from different portals, and all the information will be shared to the user once asked for that particular resource. So, of course, if the resource is identified uniquely from the different portals, then all the information will be collected and which will be shown to the user in the same summary. So yeah, it will provide information from all the servers at the same time.
Exactly. So it's sort of a common effort across all data hubs. If you use the user feedback mechanism that you have, we will all get a lot more information about the data, how it's being used. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
So, any more questions? No, you please don't be shy and tell us what you are wondering about, and we will discuss it also in the end. So now we will show how NextGEOSS can be used. So Elnaz, you have been using the NextGEOSS platform. Not only have you been using it, as Koushik said in the beginning, you have actually helped developing a system so that it fits your needs, right?
Yes, precisely. Yeah.
So let's hear about biodiversity.
Yes, sure. Okay, in this presentation, I would talk about the NextGEOSS Biodiversity pilot. In short, NextGEOSS Biodiversity pilot aimed to facilitate biodiversity monitoring and provide the first level of concept between low-level primary observation and high-level biodiversity indicators, which is required by researchers, scientific institutions, stakeholders, and decision makers. In this respect, the NextGEOSS Biodiversity pilot consists of 2 community portals and 1 data hub. As you can see from the slides, we have a data hub called Remote Sensing Enable Essential Biodiversity Variable, which is available through NextGEOSS catalog, and also 2 community portal biodiversity monitoring and mapping, which built by ITC University of Twente And not last but not least, the Habitat Suitability Map Community Portal, which is created by Wageningen University. The remote sensing enable essential biodiversity variable data hub was created following 4 different phases. First, we prioritize remote sensing enable EBV, which proposed by Joe Bond, and we identify after that the available RS enable EBV products. We provide the metadata for each of these products, and eventually we populate these EBV product into NextGEOSS catalog, which is available at this moment. The unique value of this platform, Data Hub for biodiversity, is that user can find and also harvest the available continuous and ancillary EBV products, which provided or in some cases collected or retrieved by different data providers at different scales. I emphasize on different scales because some of this data is at the local or national level, but some of the others is at the global scale. As I said, we have 2 community portals. One of them is Biodiversity Monitoring and Mapping portal, which created by ITC. We harvest Sentinel-2 images as high resolution data to generate remote sensing enabled by essential biodiversity variable proposed by Joe Bond. The generation of such a product not only allows us to monitor biodiversity and changes better, but is also useful for any type of user who demand such a product. These generated products can also be populated in the future in JOBON online toolkits called Bond-in-Box. If I briefly explain about Bond-in-Box, is being specifically designed to directly serve the needs and interest of national governments who need proper observation data on biodiversity to further fulfill their domestic and international requirements effectively. This, as a user, if I want to explain about this community portal, you have access directly to Sentinel-2 image to retrieve leaf area index, and at these cases, you can call the data that you wish. You can select the study area that you want to have the products, and you can determine the cloud coverage. But most importantly, next to the resolution of these products can be generated at the global level. So there is no limitation to retrieve such a product. As explained a little bit before, there is another community portal called Habitat Suitability Map, which is created by Wageningen University. In this community portal, for running the model, we applies the remote sensing enabled biodiversity predictor product as a predictor, and also a lot of in-situ vegetation plot measurements is there to run the model and get the product like UNES Habitat Suitability Map. This community portal is one of the, I think, one of the best achievements, not only for NextGEOSS, but for the community biodiversity and also remote sensing community. But the only limitation for this community portal is that the suitability map would be at the European scale. But it's not, to be honest, of fault, because there is not enough data available for run such a models for in different scales. I mean, global or some countries, they don't have proper data to share with us. We limited our community portal at the European level. As I said, we have different target group to use NextGeo biodiversity pilot community portals or data hub. But more importantly, we have variety of the users who can use these portals. Researchers, scientists, research development institution, universities, national or international organization, public, private stakeholders or decision makers. But in particular, biodiversity and climate change communities or end user that they can use our products. It's not only useful for monitoring better biodiversity, it is very efficient, time consuming, and to be honest, very handy. And last but not least, beside NextGeo Data Hub, which contains EBV products, both community portals for NextGeo biodiversity pilots would be available for user even after the NextGeo initiative is over. So unlike many projects that stop their services at the end of the project, a user can get service from NextGeo biodiversity community portals in the future to monitor biodiversity in a better way. So we will be here for a while. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elnaz. It's exciting. Is it so that you developed both these portals in NextGEOSS, or were one of them there before?
For habitat modeling, suitability map was developed by Wageningen University separately than what we developed for monitoring and generating Biffery Index as a RS-EBV product. So two different partners follow to build two different community portals, but the goal was the same.
Yeah, the goal was the same, but they were developed as part of this NextGEOSS.
Yes.
Yes, that was one. So you are accommodating different niches or subgroups of the biodiversity community.
Yes, exactly. And also, for example, some of the products that we produce for a community portal is applied for what habitat modeling, habitat suitability map is using for random model as a predictor. So they are linked with each other and support each other.
Yeah, so it's a good thing you did it together then. I mean,
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a very good example of the powers of NextGEOSS and our very skilled community members, the NextGEOSS community members. Please don't be shy, ask questions. It could be questions, even if you are not a biodiversity community member, you may be another representing another community, and you can ask more general questions. I'm sure you can help answer, Elnaz.
Yes, sure.
While we are waiting for that, I think we can start to get used to, or we can start to learn how you can use NextGEOSS. And I cannot say this often enough, NextGEOSS is a project. Yes, it was funded by the European Commission, but we will continue beyond the project period. And FYI, we have several partners already committed to do this, so you can rest assured that these resources will be available for you also into the future. And therefore, Marie-Francoise, your instructions and explanations on how the users can benefit from this is highly relevant. And we are waiting for you now to present. And I believe it will be Koushik who is managing the screen sharing while Marie-Francoise is speaking. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Bente, and thank you, Koushik, for helping there. So maybe we have managed to raise some interest with the previous presentations. And if you are here and you are very numerous today, thank you. More than 45 people and more than 50 at the maximum. So this means that you have some interest into the NextGEOSS and you might wish to join us. And this is what I will tell you about what happens if you want to join, what should you do, and how will you onboard. Next slide. So first, what is onboarding? It's the act of or process of familiarizing a new customer with one's product or services. So this is how to teach you and bring you to this new product, which is NextGEOSS. Next slide. And what is a user-centric onboarding process? Next slide. This is about you. So who are the target of NextGEOSS? It's we have defined some personas. So here you can be a young developer, you can be a senior developer, you can be a senior project manager, a scientist, an engineer, a scientific developer, or a community portal scientist. And you are directly into the target of the people who might wish to onboard. So we do not address directly the final user like the farmer. We are not producing the pilots are addressing the final users, but the platform and the data hub are addressing developers and scientists who want to push and develop, upscale their application. Next slide. So at the very beginning of NextGEOSS, we had these very high-level steps to onboard, which are user engagement, data preparation, platform setup, pilot integration, and service operation. At this level, this stays very generic and abstract probably for you when you read that. So you might see these steps in other projects too, but what we have worked on is to develop that into very pragmatic and detailed activities. Next slide. So we have said it already, but it's super important to understand that the DNA of NextGEOSS is to have developed the services with co-designing this with several experts from several domains via the implementation of these pilots because we wanted these services to be able to be generic and address all the communities. And this is what we have co-designed. The word co-design is very often used for the final product. Here we have co-designed the services. And to do so, we have done that implementing several pilots. Next slide. And with embedding into the same team some domain expert and some IT expert, we have designed this for full architecture and a set of services that allow the user to go from their application to the data and to the cloud very easily and in a very seamless way and in a very tailorable way because you can integrate some services a la carte. Next slide. So I say that we have implemented and detailed these 5 steps. Next slide. How does it look like? Each of the steps can be detailed in several activities. So here you have in blue the activities that will have to be done by you if you join us. The white activities are done by the NextGEOSS partners, and the green activities are done together. Typically, on the user engagement, you have to understand a little bit the NextGEOSS offer. Then you have to candidate on the portal, on the web nextgeoss.eu portal. Or you can click when you will get this presentation on this box, and you will get directly to the forum to propose to offer your pilot. Then the NextGEOSS partner will go into your proposal and will contact you to do a kickoff meeting. And during this kickoff, we will detail all the further steps and where and what you should work and where we will support you and when we will meet. You will understand which are the skills you need or which are the partners you need to join to your project to be able to cover all the project until the end. And we will present you all the services we can offer for you to develop your application until the end of and make it available into the cloud. Next slide. So here several slides detail all these steps. And you just have to go on the website, go to the Join Us and integrate your pilot or link your data or showcase your application, because as NextGEOSS, as Koushik has said, we have developed 3 offers and you can candidate for any of these 3 offers to join us. Next slide. So I will go a little bit quick on the next slides, but this is a data preparation step. What you have to know is that when you will onboard, at each step, you will have some experts in front, some people really. So here at Datopian, you have met already Georgiana, our expert about CCAN and the data hub and how to harvest the data. DLR is a partner also working on the harvesters. And so you will meet our experts that will help you go step by step until the end of the process. Next slide. So the platform setup here, the experts is TerraDue, because our platform is based on TerraDue Ellipse solution, which is also the foundation for several tabs and several platforms you might see in other projects. And EGI is right now our cloud partner, but we can deploy it in other clouds also. And EGI is already a federation of cloud distributed over several countries. Next slide. So we have a continuous integration process that can allow to integrate the different services, test and validate and transfer to operation, and then go back to integrating new services, test and validate, and transfer to operation again. And this is what we offer to support with our experts in cloud bursting, to help you integrate, build, package, and deploy over the cloud your application in a way that will allow you to benefit from all the promises from the cloud providers of scalability and upscale and so on. Next slide. So this is the catalog of services we have right now, which have been built as co-design. They are co-design results and they have been built with the pilots. So you have seen before a presentation from the data cataloging and data discovery with the OpenSearch. And you have seen a presentation also about the geo user feedback. So these are 2 of the services. You can see here the others. This is the catalog of services which have been needed so far by the pilots, and we are working on a new one, as Koushik has introduced in the beginning, to access various Sentinel providers. Next slide. So again, if you are here a pilot provider, like on the right, you can see the biodiversity we have used as an example to show that biodiversity is benefiting right now of several of the services that we are providing. So you can see into the blue boxes, the data harvesters and the data catalog backend, and CCAN. This is exactly the location where you will use OpenSearch to access the data. If you need some data which are not already into the catalog, we can add an harvester to enrich the catalog. The user management is also a service we have not detailed today, but we can provide. And you have heard about the user feedback, and then you can discover through this architecture all the services we provide. And at the bottom, you can see the cloud bursting and the different clouds we can deploy in. Next slide. The goal of NextGEOSS is really to support the user from the data to the deployment and to the operations. So we also have a set of services to be able to monitor how your system is running, and to provide you some tools to make sure that everything is working fine. Next slide. So we are not focusing just on the data hub. We are not just focusing on the integration. We are also preparing the operations. So the onboarding process is really something we have detailed. Out of the 5 steps, high-level 5 steps, we have detailed all the activities to be run. We have identify what have to be done by you or by us to be able, since the kickoff meeting, to make sure that all of us know exactly what they have to do, which skills they need, that everyone has what he needs for each step, and to avoid any surprise that would be a dead end in the middle of the project. So from the kickoff, there is no ambiguity. These are complex projects, and it's very important to make sure that you will get all the support you need until the end of the deployment on the cloud. Next slide. So these are all the partners you can reach if you know some of the partners directly, or of course, you can join us via the portal. And as I said, NextGEOSS will be sustained via several initiatives, and one of them is NextGEOSS. And of course, you are very welcome to join and discuss with us how you can onboard now or later via NextGEOSS. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marie-Francoise. I just posted a link to the NextGEOSS community, and we can talk a little bit about that. That's what we promised in the beginning here, that we would show you how you can join this community and benefit from the resources that we have developed. Are there any questions now? I see that meanwhile you were speaking, Marie-Francoise, we had a question for Elnaz concerning the essential biodiversity variables.
Yeah.
Yes.
I replied, but it's better to say it again here. If we use Sentinel-2 images, and we directly harvest the Sentinel-2, and after we use leaf area index as one of the RS essential biodiversity variable that proposed, and the spatial resolution is 20 meter at defined products.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Elnaz. Yes, and you perhaps, Elnaz, if you have links, you can to these portals. Yeah, you can share that in the chat as well directly. And of course, when you have when you have registered for this webinar, you will also get this in the PDFs and so on afterwards. But it's good to have them if they want to see it right now.
Yeah, sure.
So we have a questions now directly to you, Marie-Francoise, from Paula. Thank you, Paula. How long does the onboarding process take approximately? Mute.
This is a very good question. It can vary a lot, of course, depending on the maturity and the level of experience of the partners. But the idea we had at the beginning when we made this detail of the activities was to be ready at the kickoff to assess which were the services the partner wanted to integrate, and based on that, to be able to quantify the time which was needed to integrate each of the service, and to make from the kickoff a roadmap with an estimation of the workload. We have not been able to reach this level of maturity. We need more amount of pilots because of the diversity we had into the pilots we have integrated. They were so different that it was difficult to really consolidate and capitalize an experience on that. The only one I could do was for the widget for the geospatial user feedback, because the widgets is quick to integrate. It's 1 hour. For the others where you have more modularity, more complexity, and so on, we could not reach this level. But I hope that we will be able sometimes. Yeah,
and I would like to add to that. So. Because there, like you said, there are different, complexities and amount of work that is necessary. But when you mentioned the user feedback button, we also have experience with implementing the OpenSearch API, and on a different portal, on the GEOS portal. And I think, and help me, but I think it was like a 3-day work together. Koushik, is that, yeah, and that was about it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a portal that was not a CCAN portal, so it was not like when you have a CCAN system, it's easier. But even on a different system, it was like a breeze to implement the OpenSearch API.
Yes, and also I think it was possible because we followed the standards. I think that's more important. So we closely follow the standards mandated by OGC. So I mean that's the beauty of standards and interoperability. So that also helped in that sense.
Source CCAN, so any platform using CCAN can get it, and it's open source deliverable produced by NextGEOSS for the benefit for the whole community. So if you have a CCAN implementation, you can get this extension and implement it.
Yes, and absolutely, and we have a very good success story with Marie-Francoise. So Marie-Francoise, their catalog is also based on CCAN, same technology. So the plugins of OpenSearch was very easy to port into Marie-Francoise portal as well, and it was done quite seamlessly without any issues.
And with it, yes. So this is the feedback we have gotten, but of course, the more, as Marie-Francoise was saying, the more experience we have, the better we can discover tweaks that is necessary and be better at estimating the resources necessary, which is important for most communities.
And what I did not say is that the different services we provide are a la carte. So for your project, you can decide you want the authentication or you don't want it. You want the user feedback or you don't want it. This is why we cannot say this is the time you need to integrate your pilot.
Yes. And so we have integration of your pilot, but we also have the, simpler work that like the cataloging of the data or cataloging of services or applications that you have, say, developed in other projects, and you don't want to lose it and you want others to play with it. The NextGEOSS Data Hub is the place to catalog it. That's easier than the pilot, which is a longer process. But so back to how you can interact with us now. I don't see any more questions. Did I overlook you guys help me to, but I don't think I overlooked any of the questions. But now, how can you join us and how can we serve you in the future? And that is, like Marie-Francoise said, and we have said several times, the NextGEOSS community activity in the Group on Earth Observations work program. So the global Earth observation community in GEO, they have a work program, and we have this community activity established there, and it's free and open for everybody. Everybody is welcome to join us and do the same, basically, if you want to, as Elnaz has done for the biodiversity community. You can play with our tools, you can help us develop the tool that you need, and we do this collectively. It's an open source, it's open data, so that's a really big point, that we are keeping transparent and open. So yes, and I see a question. Thank you, Brenner. Do you have a link to showcase of a project using applying data catalog by NextGEOSS? Is it possible to assess how much NextGEOSS contributed to the success of that application?
May I answer that?
Yes.
Yeah. But for example, I can talk about the biodiversity, one of the biodiversity community portal. We use some of the product as a researcher when we retrieve library index from the community portal for some of our studies, or if you want to do validation or do some projects, we use our community portal. We are writing the paper based on the outcome of this community portal. But just keep in your minds that the algorithm that we use for example, retrieving library index and the biodiversity community portal is one algorithm. So as a researcher, you can apply whatever you need based on the study area or the ecosystem that you consider. So at this stage, as a researcher and for some of our project and also research, we University of Twente at least use this community portal.
Yes, thank you. I hope that answered your question, Brenner.
Yeah.
Yes, so what you can do, you know, an action that for you, if you are interested, if you want to think about more about it, or if you want to join immediately, you see immediately how this is perfect for you, you can register you know, on an email list where we will communicate with the community, so the NextGEOSS community, and you find that link to this email list in the web, the link I showed you, link. Let me see, maybe I will show you actually. Let me see if I can share my screen even, so you see. I will turn off my camera because now I just have one screen. Normally I have two screens when I'm doing this. My entire screen, yes. Oh, it won't. Like this. And you probably see this. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes. So this is a description of the NextGEOSS you see here. It's the Group on Earth Observation Community Activity. It's open to all. And this here is the button where it's a very simple start. We have created this this email list to gather the community so that we can start to meet and develop this community activity together. It's a co-design on a global scale. And you see, it's all about people. I think that Marie-Francoise also underlined this. Technology is all fine and dandy, but we actually are people and we like to interact with people. So here you see some of the people that will be involved in this community activity to begin with. And we will be happy to have more people from the outside on this. But the contact is Nuno Catarino. He's the coordinator of the NextGEOSS Horizon 2020 project. Pedro Gonçalves, he is from Terra-Dua and responsible for the platform. Marie-Francoise Voidrot from OGC, of course, contribute with her knowledge on the standards, but she's been involved in or responsible for the engagement with you, the communities, and me. I'm here for both for communication and dissemination, the webinars, obviously, but also a lot of capacity building and training in general, which is important for us to be able to use this. So this is a very short description here you see on the link that I gave you. If you want to act quickly, you just click here to subscribe. You will get, well, I dare do it. Yes, so this is how simple it is. And we are all, of course, GDPR compliant. And when you sign up here, you will be on the list and we will be able to communicate with you. So that was that. So if you want to, please join us. And I see that somebody did. Fantastic. Very happy to see that. So yes, another way for you to connect with us, to stay updated on what we are doing, is of course to follow us on Twitter, because we are announcing and sharing a lot of information on our Twitter account, NextGEOSS. It's simple as NextGEOSS on Twitter. So that you can do. And if you go to our webpage, nextgeoss.eu, you will see that you can register for future webinars. We also have an email list for those who are interested in webinars. We have a lot of webinars that is covering different aspects of the NextGEOSS Data Hub and platform. I don't see any other questions. I'm very happy to see that so many of you are here, and thank you so much for staying on. I don't know if the speakers here have something you want to add before we leave. No.
I think I would like to add one thing regarding NextGEOSS. So yes, we all invite you to participate in NextGEOSS community activity. It's an open community, so you're all invited, and you can contribute in various ways. I think that's more important, that you can contribute with some resources. For example, help us to build further evolve the catalog. For example, if you want to contribute with your time to develop some harvesters for NextGEOSS catalog, you are welcome as well. If you want to bring a new service in the NextGEOSS community, yes, you are as well welcome. And then if you have some set of user requirements, if you have an application, then you identify some gaps that you identify that there is some services that you don't have. So contact us. We can discuss with our partners, with our community, and we can build something. So we can have some interoperability test with you, and we'll develop something. So that's the open invitation for everyone. So it's that's what I like to say.
Yes. So there are many, thank you for that, Koushik, because there are many levels that you can engage. You don't have to have a whole pilot, for instance. Maybe you can also mention, I think in this context, the work that you are doing with the citizen science community.
Yes, absolutely. So that's within the scope of the Kampala hackathon, right? Yes. Dubrovnik. Yes. Sorry, I mean, just like two hackathons are happening at the same time. Get confused.
Yeah.
Dubrovnik hackathon. So we have been requested by European Commission is that why not make NextGEOSS is a hub where all the projects data that's generated from European H2020 projects can be cataloged. And we took that advice, and we also started our communication and marketing activities with some of the projects. We had some success there, and now we're extending that to citizen science data. So one of the projects from CENT, it's another H2020 project, and what we have done within the scope is that whenever there is any campaign in the citizen science observation, so that data becomes will become eventually available in NextGEOSS catalog. So if you're looking for some citizen science data, so now we have some data sets available. So feel free to use, comment, and also send up some feedback. I mean, that has been done just today morning.
Yes, that's I wanted you to be able to say that, because it's highly relevant for this community.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that answers one of the questions from Adrian, is like, can we harvest all kinds of data? So the answer is yes, but we have to check case by case basis. We have now in situ data, we have now citizen science and traditional Earth observation. In fact, we did recently cataloged some data related to COVID. So it was you can access the latest information of infection rates as well. And then we are now exploring how we can include socioeconomic data. So the answer is yes, and we strive to do that.
Wonderful. So I see, thank you so much for thanking us, Christos, Pete, Harsh, Paula, Francisco. Wonderful to have you on so long. I think we are ready to move on to our next tasks, and we hope to see you either on Twitter or on NextGEOSS or in the next webinar, or all. So with that, thank you so much, and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.